Now, if you walk down any of the malls in WA, in the city or the regions, you'll see plenty of empty shop fronts, businesses shuttered. Business insolvency rates in Western Australia are at a record high. And it's not just you feeling the pinch when you get to the checkout. The Chamber of Commerce and Industry in WA says small and medium businesses are bracing for the future and it's calling for change. Aaron Morey is the Chief Economist for the CCI in WA. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are small and medium businesses in the state faring at the moment? What are you hearing?
Well, look, there's no doubt at all that the overall economy in Western Australia is doing quite well. You look at those overall numbers like unemployment rates, growth in our gross state product. There's a lot of activity in this economy and there's a lot to celebrate in the economy of WA. But what we're starting to see emerge is a bit of a two-speed economy, because a lot of those SMEs in particular in certain sectors, health and community services, arts and hospitality, retail, accommodation, these sorts of sectors are really under pressure on the cost side, and it's turning into a bit of a profitless type boom for some of these businesses, and that's why you're starting to see some of these insolvency rates tick up to pretty strong levels, the sorts of levels that we sort of saw pre-COVID when we had, quite an underperforming economy at that time. And so plenty of pressure on those businesses at the same time as they're still sort of struggling to bring in the sorts of workers that they need to run their operations. So look, overall, the WA economy ticking along, but a lot of businesses struggling to turn a profit, struggling to stay in business and provide for the families that sit behind those small and family businesses.
What would payroll tax changes look like in your dream plan?
Oh, look, we want to see a substantial lift in the threshold for when payroll tax kicks in for small business employers in the state. The threshold's currently $1 million. We want to see it raised to 1.3 and a rebate that applies above that. What we've really got to do in this state is try and rectify what is actually the highest payroll tax burden in the country. I mean, we've done the analysis. We've looked at, the amount of payroll tax that a business will pay at different numbers of, levels of taxable wages. And like for like across states, a WA business will pay the highest payroll tax in the country, and that's something that we need to ensure that doesn't remain the case. I mean, we have a very successful economy here, and it really doesn't make good sense that in such a strong economy with such a large successful mining and resources sector, that the small and family businesses that sort of service that sector get lumped with the highest payroll tax burden in the country. And we think that's well within the control, the remit and the fiscal capability of the state government to do that. And we're really keen to see those commitments made prior to the coming election.
If you're talking about an increase from $1 million to 1.3 as the threshold, what difference would that make to a small business, say, down the street in Perth or in regional WA?
Tens of thousands of dollars. It'll save SMEs tens of thousands of dollars, obviously depending on how much they have in taxable wages, but significant savings for businesses and incentives for them to grow and to employ more people. I mean, we see lots of businesses bunching under that 1 million threshold. And are reticent to employ more people lest they begin paying what to them is a really perverse tax. Look, we recognise that the tax won't be abolished. It's an overall important source of revenue for the state government, and it doesn't have a ready replacement. But we've got to continue to make sure that we keep lifting that threshold. It is a form of bracket creep. I mean, as wages go up, your payroll tax bill goes up with it. And so, as you know, there's been real shortages of workers in recent years. We've seen significant increases in wages, and that's, obviously those wages, and then that is compounded into a bigger payroll tax burden. And so, it's important that, the state government from time to time, provides that relief, especially following such a strong, period of strong increase in wage inflation in WA.
Now, I believe the WA government is forecast to take $5.8 billion in payroll tax this financial year, over $6 billion next financial year. But Aaron Morey, isn't that the cost of doing business in WA? I mean, shouldn't businesses making a profit pay their share of tax? You know, if they're finding it tight, it encourages efficiencies. It encourages them to think outside of the box and to become more efficient and more economical.
Yeah. Look. It's certainly not a tax on profitability. That's for sure. It is a tax on just the amount of wages that you pay. And as we discussed at the beginning of the interview, we've got a situation in this state where small and family businesses are struggling to turn a profit. In time, you know, they're paying record wages, which is being compounded by what is the highest payroll tax in the country. We don't think there's any circumstance in any time, any circumstance whatsoever where it's appropriate or fair for Western Australia to face the highest payroll tax in the country. So we think it's an open and shut case.
What do you think the WA business sector looks like in, say, 5 years if payroll tax doesn't change in this state?
I think what we'll see is that there'll be more insolvencies. We'll see more small and family businesses go out of business, and we'll see more businesses elect not to invest in this state. I mean, we know what drives businesses' decisions around where to invest across the country, and the tax system is a really important factor that drives those decisions. So there's two areas of concern. One is the existing businesses under pressure that go out of business, and secondly is the lost opportunities that we don't attract to this state due to having the reputation as the highest payroll tax state